Sometimes there's nothing better than a nice cold beer, sitting back by the fire, admiring the place you call home, your house, your casa, your kingdom. You are the king of your castle. But a king doesn't sit on a tailgate bench. A king sits on a throne.
Alright, that's right. So in this video, I'm going to build an armadillo, this right here, this word. I'm going to build one of those. It's a deck chair. I'm going to build one of the deck chairs. And I've built a couple of these in the past. I built one that was a double with a cooler in the middle. And then I've also built a few of them that have the outline of Michigan symbol on them. So I have built these in the past. So this time I'm going to build one that is fit for a king. Let's get dusty. So first thing I need to do is I need to come over to the pattern that I built for the Michigan one, because I wrote down all of my cut measurements on this pattern, which is a good idea for me, but it's kind of covered in dust. Do you want to see it? I'll show it to you. There it is. So I'm going to cut. I need to turn that purifier on. I'm going to start cutting all this wood down, get it all laid out. We're going to build ourselves an armadillo deck chair. Armadillo deck chair.
Okay, so like I said, I'm using all of the measurements off of that pattern to pre-cut most of my boards with the chop saw. Doing this is going to allow things to go a lot faster, and if I need any more material, I can get it before I really get into the build.
Okay, so now I got most of my wood cut. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to build the base that the seat sits on. Pretty simple. Build the box at 2x4s. What's a 2x4? Play music. You're welcome. So now comes the point where I would normally just screw all these on, but as you just saw, I ripped one of them down in half. And that will make a lot of sense later. So I'm going to screw this on, and I'm just going to temporarily screw on the cut down ones. And again, it will make sense later. So even though I have self-tapping screws, I did split this board pretty bad. I didn't split it that bad. I drilled in there to really open it up. So what you're going to do now to fix that is I'm going to put glue down into that hole, and then I'm going to recess the screw out. Put the next board up, put it against it, act as the clamp, screw that board down in, and then that glue will hold it, and then when everything's dry, I will sink that screw back down. So now I've got where my butt's going to sit, now I want to do where my back's going to sit. So now I'm just going to screw these backboards that I cut right to the back and create my uprights. And then because I'm doing a throne, I'm going to do a little extra later on. So this is going to look a little weird, but we're going to start this off the right way. One thing you also want to remember, I was getting my square by the way. One thing that you want to remember is when you're doing a project of furniture like this, is watch where your knots are or your imperfections in your wood and try to hide them or not use them as much as possible. So that's another tip for you. So because I'm doing a throne and I want to do some custom curvature all up on the top and make it look more throny, I'm going to have to kind of go out of order before I finish up the back. and I'm gonna have to figure out where my arms are gonna land. I don't know, so I'm gonna show you guys how I figure that out. Okay, so if you saw my last video on dust collection and air purification, you saw me say that I really wanted to get one of those wireless remotes so I could shut them off with the switch. Well, you can hear the air purifier running, and it was delivered today. How nice is that? So, to this chair. So the way that I figure out the legs that cut off, because the legs are one long piece that runs up, I do this. So I actually have this thing blocked up to about where I want it. I use a paint can 2x4, and I've got it set. So I'm going to set my angle for what I want and what I'm comfortable with. The higher you go, the more of a drop you're going to have to sit in. So I've got it pretty set here. So let me show you how I actually figure out the measurement to cut off the back of the legs to make it sit flat on the ground. How you doing? I'm on the back set of my chair. So you can see that the chair is sitting on the point right here, which technically is fine. It's not going to hurt anything. But I want more surface area to not dig into the dirt so deep. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to lose a little bit of height on this, but I'm taking a piece of 3/4 inch thick material. I'm placing it right there. Now I'm just going to draw my line. What that's going to do is that's going to give me more of a flat surface for this to sit on. The same thing on the other side. And then take your skill saw, rip it to that. It'll sit nice and flush. Like I said, you are going to lose a little bit of thickness, a little bit of height there. So keep that in mind when you're setting your height, is you're going to come down a little bit. Okay, so because I've never done something this off the wall with one of these chairs, I'm learning as I go. I think what I'm going to have to do before I finish the back is I think I'm going to have to finish everything else. So that's time to start doing some intricate cuts and some design.
When doing cuts like this, what I like to do is I like to use a cardboard template. I will draw out the shape I want, cut it out, and then I will then transfer that shape onto the wood. And once I have that drawn onto the wood, I'll go over the bandsaw, and using the bandsaw, I will come close to the line, but leave myself a little more removable material. Therefore, after I get cut to the bandsaw, I can then bring it over to the belt sander, which is then I can get everything nice and dialed in. Now using that same technique, but this time I'm going to use a jigsaw, I'm going to cut out the arms close enough that I can finish them up with the belt sander. Once everything with the belt sander is good, I'm going to attach this backboard, which is going to hold all of my backboards together, which then is going to allow me to work on what I'm going to refer to as the crown. And the crown, I'm going to use the same template pattern idea to make these things symmetrical on both sides. So I'm going to use a template, cut it out with a jigsaw, and once I'm happy with it, use a round over bit on my router to finish it off and make it nice and pretty. Using a bandsaw, I'm going to cut out the stacked wood that I used here for the cup holder, which is 2 holes together lined up and a smaller hole in the bottom for drainage. After it's through the bandsaw, it goes over to the belt sander to finish it and make it all nice and pretty. Now here we're just adding a little decoration to the legs.
Okay, so everything has been cut and routed and is ready to be sanded and then stained. I'm going to stain this because I want to hit a two-tone look that'll really, I think, pop and give it that throne feel. So let's do my favorite thing in the entire world and sand this down.
So now I'm going to give all the pieces just a quick sand with the orbital sander, sanding down to just a quick 120. And as you can see from my glancing over, my kids are out there to watch and help. Now it's time to give it some color. So what I'm going to use is I'm going to use a Minwax Ebony stain to give this thing that two-tone color to really make it pop. So you always want to make sure that once you open the can, you take something to stir it, and then I always try to wipe off whatever I'm using beforehand. So now that we've got the stain is mixed and ready to go, it's now time to slather some color all over these bad boys. And there was a lot of bad boys that needed some color. Once all the stain had dried, it became time to put it all together. And this was really the fun part because this is when I got to see that two-tone and make it really look and pop. Now, trying to remember where I had all the parts and what parts went where was kind of difficult, but everything kind of came together really good.
All right, so I'm going to give you some advice on how I set my arms on this thing. I have it blocked up into the angle that I want. I used a paint can 2x4. It's blocked up at my angle, so now what I'm going to do is I know that my legs are 20 inches tall, so what I did is I just clamped my backboard at 20 inches, and that'll make sure that I'm level this way. And then I always start off with setting, because you want your arms to be set the same way. I start off with the one that I have the cup holder, because you want your legs to clear your cup holder. In this case, I ended up notching out to make room for the cup holder. So all I do is now, once this is clamped, the backboard is clamped in, it'll sit, and then you can take your level, and you can check to see if you need to adjust your backboard at all while it's clamped in. So once you have this set, it's just a matter of looking at it, staring at it, trying to figure out where you want it to set, and then setting it. So on this one, thinking about right in there will be good. That's not the right drill. Drill. Okay, so now this arm is in. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to measure from the face to where the arm starts. I'm going to transfer that measurement over there. Do that, and that'll keep it so that my arms can be the same. And then I'll take my measurement from the back behind the arm here, and then transfer it over there, and everything will be the same.
Now I put the top screw in only halfway, and that allows it to dangle and self-center, allowing me to put the bottom screw in, go back through and tighten the top. That's better. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.